Hello guys, this is Student Dentist at Home. In this part 1 video, I'll be accessing and instrumenting an extracted tooth number 3. And you can kind of see there's a distal buccal fracture. Future videos with this will include a obturation, post-insertion, and a crown preparation. And maybe like a retreatment for fun at the end, if I get to it. If anyone's wondering, the setup that I use here is the tooth is an extracted tooth. I'm using the accidental endo type allowance. That's pretty common. You can find it everywhere. It's mounted with a apex putty, and that helps conduct the apex locator, and just hot glue, and that keeps it in pretty well. Right here I'm accessing with a friction grip 557L, which is just a longer version of the typical 557. Cuts pretty efficiently, and you always have a parallel wall, so it helps keep a straight line access if you angle your burr correctly. This footage right here is pretty neat. So I've had this jar of extracted teeth from my gap year assisting back in 2017. And I've kept them in like a 10% solution of sodium hypochlorite, and even through an autoclave. But after 3 years, the palatal nerve in this tooth is still intact. So I thought that was pretty cool. Kind of pulling it out here, and came out pretty solid. A little gross if you think about what else is dormant in this tooth. But yeah, doesn't seem to have been touched. Okay, here I'm searching for the MB2 canal, which was the hardest one. So at this point, I've already accessed MB1, distal buccal, and palatal. I'm just using well, before I was using the endo explorer to kind of poke around and feel until I felt a stick. Then here I'm using the K file to actually confirm that's a orifice. And it went in. Now I'm putting a K file on the MB1 canal to make sure they're separate, and I'm not actually doing the same canal here. And they are separate. Now I'm doing the same thing with the distal buccal. I mean, I'm just gonna go through with the paddle as well, just for fun, and it looks pretty cool having all 4 K files in there. Actually, usually the apex locator in my other videos, other attempts, it's been like a 50-50 chance. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this time I got it working somehow, and I was able to actually measure the working length. Now, I mean, usually if in case the apex locator doesn't work, I'd usually estimate the working length before mounting the tooth, and I was actually just off by 1.5 millimeters. Here, the MB2 canal. So the have to kind of had to enlarge it here. And so with the size 6, I was able to enlarge so I can fit a size 10 and get on with the working length determination. And yeah, a lot of copious irrigations between each step. Kind of something we learned at school. We always just to prevent blockage and get all the debris out. So MB2 was 18 millimeters, MB1 18 as well. Not sure why it's taking a while here. I think I actually overpushed the rubber stopper a little too far. And usually just use the distal buckle, the perspective cusp. So for distal buckle, I was using the distal buckle cusp as a perspective. So distal buckle, 20 millimeters. And same thing with the palette. Palette was actually the easiest one to find. And the easiest to instrument as well, which you'll see in a little bit. Alright, so here I'm gonna start my instrumentation with the standardized technique. You know, go from the smallest file or smallest size NiTi and then to the largest. Enlarging the canal for a glide path with the K file. At school, we're taught to create a glide path up to a size 20 or 25 if it's a tight canal, but here I'm being a little lazy, just doing it to a size 15. It works pretty well. Just make sure it goes in and out pretty smoothly. And I do this for all canals with RC prep as well. So doing a little watch winding motion, which no one really has, which no one does anymore. So I think we need a new something else different to compare it to nowadays. Yeah, so here just a different canal. And usually I go from MB1, MB2, and then distal buckle and palatal, just so I remember which one I just finished. Just to go in order. So when you're getting when you're placing files in and there's a lot of canals, I like to actually pre-curve the K files. It helps insert them way easier compared to just keeping it straight. I think some people might be kind of worried that you might break a file if it's too curved, but I think it's pretty safe as long as you have a slight curve to it, nothing too, as long as you don't bend it. Some irrigation there. I think I was just trying to visualize, couldn't find where I was going. And my irrigation here, clinically, you'll use either EDTA or sodium hypochlorite. Here, and with a typo down, I'm just using water. This might be the last canal, the Palatal Canal. Yeah, this is why I only did one size 15. If I did a size 20, maybe up to a size 25, it would have taken much longer, especially with 4 canals. If you look at that picture at the top left, you can kind of see the upper one's the Mesial MB2. The one closer to the upper right is MB1. And then the bottom one is the distal buckle. And then the one on the left, I'm looking at the mirror, and that's the palatal. That one that's like you can barely see. That was actually a hard picture to get. Had to steady the hand and get the right shadow in there. Came out great. So here's some irrigation. I think I'm about to start instrumenting with a NiTi rotary. Or actually no, the next part's gonna be the orifice opener. So not sure how common orifice openers are outside of at school. We're taught to use it, but not sure if everyone else if it's pretty common technique to use. But really, it's just to enlarge the coronal third of the root canal. But I've never really measured exactly how far I go in. I go by feel. Once I start feeling resistant, I don't forcefully, never put forceful apical pressure, and I just kind of clean it out mesodistally, or the palate canal, at least. That might be buccal, I believe. Actually, the opposite. It's the most canal systems. So the palatal canal you would clean mesodistally, and then the mesial and distal canal you would clean more in the buccolingual direction. And usually I just keep my rotary at a 400 RPM. So here you'll see after each step I do a K-file recapitulation, which is basically just making sure the canal is not obstructed, and when you irrigate, it irrigates more effectively, or it takes out debris more effectively. Alright, now we're using the Vortex Blue rotary, NiTi, size 15, which I believe is the white. At school we use brassler endo sequence. I got these Vortex Blue on eBay pretty cheap, and I've had good luck with them, so I always just use them. Yeah, this rotary is just a generic eBay Chinese-made rotary. Actually, pretty cheap compared to like other brand companies. I mean, it has like a auto reverse, auto. If you over torque, it goes in a reverse direction. You can control your RPMs. You can control the amount of torque you have. I think I have it set to 2 newtons per centimeters, which and I think it's like a standard. So here I'm just recapitulating again. I do it after every NiTi step, or after NiTi size. Then copious irrigation. So I kind of skip NiTi sizes. I went from a 15 to a 25. And as after this, you'll see that I skipped size. Well, you'll see. I went to a size 30 for the Mesial Canals. I tried at 35, but it was just too. I couldn't get it. Couldn't get it all the way down to the working length. So you can see here, if you kind of notice the way I'm moving the handpiece, kind of going in the buckle lingual direction. Trying to make sure you clean out the canals effectively. It gets a little boring from here. Just the same, just going up. I think 2 more sizes after this. This is the palatal canal. I'm cleaning it more in the mesodistal direction. And recapitulation. I always just have the same K file ready. Had 2 in the I had 2 total, 1 in the 18 and 1 in the 20, so I was able to just easily access it on my endo ring, or endo ruler ring, really. After this, another irrigation. Not sure if you can overkill this. I like to pull back on the plunger, helps get the excess out. Especially if you don't have a suction here like I do. So for the Mesial MB1 MB2 canal, I didn't show in this video, but I initially tried to go up to a size 35 NiTi file, but I couldn't go all the way down to the working length. So I had to use a size 30, and I still couldn't go down. Right here you can see me trying to open it up with a K file. I think I was a little I was blocked off. So here I was able to finally get my size 30 down there after a slight apical force. If I was using the 35, I was putting a lot of apical force and I didn't feel comfortable pushing more. And I successfully went down. So this is the size 40 for the distal buccal and palatal canals. No problem getting it going all the way down with this size. They're pretty wide canals to begin with. They're pretty easy to instrument compared to the Mesial. I think this is the largest size you can go. So final recapitulation and then final irrigation. So those canals are pretty clean. Final irrigation. So normally after this point, after you do a EDTA irrigation followed by a final sodium hypochlorite irrigation, you would get paper points and dry the canal. But before I wanted to proceed with the obturation, I was real curious how the instrumentation went, and I can't visualize it since I don't have a X-ray machine. So here I decided to extract the tooth from the mount. So shortly I'll be taking out the rubber dam. quick rubber dam removal. And Woodson Periosteel elevator. It's pretty helpful getting between the hot glue always grips the tooth very well compared to a Molt 9. So I usually like the Woodson here in this situation. It's in there pretty well. So here I got a little fancy. I saw some OMFS residents at a hospital rotation use a periotome and mallet technique. Kind of wanted to give it a try myself. You just insert the periotome and then you hit the periotome with a mallet, and it goes between the tooth and the PDL pretty well. And surprisingly here, I actually separated the hot glue and tooth pretty effectively. So now just luxating with the periotome, get some movement. I think the mallet did a lot of the work here. So I'm using the forceps 150, and I'm being very cautious with this since the canals are hollowed and very fragile. I wanted everything to come out in one piece. Don't want to break canals, or I wouldn't have been able to obturate. Everything came out pretty well, as you can see in the picture, on one piece. And I placed the K-files in, and no perforations. I'm still deciding if I should do a single cone technique or a backfill obturation technique. But thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 2.